This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, but you are the real star of today's show because we are here for another edition of the Pitstop with you, the pit crew, here talking about sim racing news that is going on for today, January 22nd, Monday, and my brain is still a little mush from this weekend, and that's from the 24 hours of Daytona race and iRacing. It was quite an event, had a great time. We're going to come back to that topic just a little bit. I'm not going to dwell on it too much because we did a lot of coverage of it over the weekend. And forgive me, I'm a little short of breath because I had to run all the way up the street real quick right before the start of the show. So I am now blood flowing, oxygen pumping, and geared up for what is actually quite a bit to talk about. So stick with me. It's going to go fast. It's going to be furious today because I have a ton of news to talk about. And we always have things to talk about as well. So anything that comes to your mind, anything you think we should be talking about in sim racing news, please bring it up. Let's talk about it. And of course, your opinion on any of today's topics is always very welcome. So, I don't even know the order to go in today. I have so much to talk to. Let's start off with the traditional and work to the not so traditional. Let's start with Forza. They got a lot going on with their update to Horizon. Wow, I'm a mess today. Forza Horizon 3. But they have some big events going on. So they have Series 4 of their current Forza 7 league starting up. They've got 3 days to go until the Forza Horizon 3 Forza event, where you can get the Warthog from Halo, which I thought it was already in Horizon 3. I guess not. I remember that from a previous, that might have been Forza 5 if we're talking Warthog. It might have been in 6, not sure. But looks like that's going to be available, and the 2012 Porsche GT2 RS. In addition to that, they have their, I haven't played the new version of Horizon in 4K. I don't know if it makes it spectacular. I don't know if it makes it better. But they are pushing it, and they are acting like it's a pretty big step forward. So I guess I'm going to have to check it out myself. I just don't have an Xbox One X, so I wouldn't be able to check that aspect firsthand. Okay, let's talk about the iRacing Daytona 24-hour. We had a great event. If you didn't watch it, we streamed 24 hours. The race video on YouTube is still processing, so that race finished yesterday at 5:30. Here we are 28 hours later, and it's still not done processing. So I'm hoping, and I don't even know how long. I think it's only showing the last 4 hours, which is unfortunate. But that was quite an extraordinary day and a great effort by the guys at ACR Zach Speed. I'm going to really quickly, I want to get out some thank yous because so many people were involved and thanked. I want to thank everybody. So, you know, the guys I drove the car with, Renee, Jerome, and Patrick, great job by all of you guys. I mean, the way we clawed our way back from last place all the way back into 11th, I think is a real accomplishment. I want to thank Mitchie and Robert for all the behind-the-scenes help. You know, Mitchie just doing countless work with me on my driving line, on the setup, and Robert working on the setup as well. And I want to thank the whole ACR Zach Speed team because it was a great event. And for me, it was a real kick in the butt to get moving forward on my goal of being a whole lot faster and better sim racer. So this is a great way to start off 2018. I want to thank Joshua, Steam King here. He did my spotting. He was there for every stint. I ran 7 different fuel tanks, 4 different runs during the race, and he was there for all of them, just making sure I was aware of who was around me and what was going on in the race. So thank you to everybody. And then my last thank yous before I get off this topic, and again, I'll encourage you to go check out some of Mitchie's streams from that. Eventually, what is left of my 24-hour stream will be available as well. I want to thank Billy Strange and the gang who helped me out on, was that Friday night, after that weird stream I did Friday night. They all came in, helped me get the audio and the video as good as we can get it, and that's what allowed us to do the 24-hour stream. And I have to tell you, that was one of my favorite things I've ever done. So thank you guys to Billy and the gang for helping me out on the Discord channel and getting that so that we could even do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have streamed the event, I can tell you that. And my last thank you, I can't not give a thank you to 2 of my sponsors because, number one, this RS1 R seat allowed me to sit here for like 18 hours. Yeah, you watch 18. I sat here for like 18 hours that day in this very chair, and really felt pretty good considering it's a sim racing rig, not a comfortable chair for viewing television or something. So thank you to RC, and I want to thank Ricmotech for the Real Gear Pro pedals. I don't know if I had a single lockup all day. These pedals are the best pedals I've ever used. Today is a good day for me to pat them on the back and thank you for being a sponsor, but also providing me these pedals that just made it so easy to know what I was doing on the gas and brake, and that car is a handful, so that it's all about gas and brake. So those are my thank yous, and I couldn't have had such a great weekend without all of those people that I just named. So I'm sorry, that's part of a long show. Let's move on. Assetto Corsa, they have a big deal going on the Humble Bundle. We've talked about the various different Humble Bundles over the years, and they have a new one, but you can actually get Assetto Corsa for $11.99 right now. So if you want to run those Sim Racing System series with us, we have 3 more weeks in the McLaren, and then we will be off to a new series, which we're going to start talking about soon as well. Next up, just a quick mention, Project Cars was nominated for the DICE Awards. They're nominated for the Racing Game of the Year, so I don't know what other sims were included in the list, but Project Cars posted this. You can, and again, as usual, I have the links to all these stories at thesimpit.com, so if you want to check them out and get more information for yourself, you can. Beyond that, look who's at his first day at work. Oh, look at Rudy. There he is at McLaren outside the absolutely strict admittance, authorized personnel only, strictly no photography or filming. Got his McLaren polo shirt on. There he is, ready to work at McLaren. My biggest hero in sim racing right now. Him and Bono Hui. Bono Hui is rich. Well, rich is a funny word. But Bono Hui is got a lot of money thanks to sim racing. Next up, they've been promoting it. They did a 5-day, 4-day, 3-day, something going on with Thrustmaster Official, rally event, and they are just promoting it. So this is something we'll probably, 4 days. We'll find out by the end of the week. So tomorrow we'll probably talk about this tomorrow, and it'll be no more of a story than 3 days. So you know how it's going to go. You see how that's going to play out. Next topic, and this doesn't affect me directly, but it does affect a lot. It does affect me directly. It affects everybody who's a streamer, everybody who's a reviewer, everybody who works with YouTube creating channels and content. But they did a drastic monetization change, and it really hurt a lot of streamers. So if you're not if you don't have a giant crowd, they just kind of removed your ability to make anything from them. So, you know, to me that's an exploitation. If you're going to pay some, then you pay all. Content is content. The reason I'm mentioning this is it does affect a lot of people. In fact, some of the big, some of our crowd here as well. Some of you guys are streamers, and it's going to affect you guys, and that's not cool. The reason I'm also mentioning it is because Mitchie Hoyer, as you well know, Mitchie Hoyer's been providing content for our channel, but Mitchie Hoyer has his own channel. His channel was affected by this. So if you want to help us out, at least you can. I put a link to Mitchie's channel in the description of the show, but you could go there and make sure you're subscribed to his channel, because without a certain amount of subscribers, you're not even able to monetize. So, Billy Strange, are you here? If you want to put a link to your channel, please do. Dan Racing Simulations, if you are here, please put a link to your channel. If you are a YouTube streamer and you are being hurt by this monetization, I would please encourage you to, right now in the chat, put the link to your channel. This is my free day for everybody to promote themselves, and I really don't like the idea that YouTube should be helping us out. We're making their company. Without us, they don't exist. So, please, Dan, there you are. Please, what's the link to your channel? I want to make sure people subscribe. Please, go subscribe to Billy Strange. Go subscribe to Dan Racing, and anybody else who you've just been a casual fan of. If you haven't subscribed to the Simpit, please do right now. Help us all out to make sure that we get what we want and deserve from YouTube. So that's the end of that topic. Next up, European PlayStation heavily discounted Assetto Corsa and its DLC. So again, you're not going to be able to race on sim racing systems with us, but if you want to get Assetto Corsa, you've been thinking about it, or you've been holding out on some of those content DLCs, go in, if you're in Europe, go to the PlayStation Store and you're going to be able to get a good deal. Gotta love these winter sales, they're calling them, is what's going on. So I have a series of news from another site that has now become one of my favorites, and thank you, the man, for sending these in. I want to thank everybody who sends me in stories, because I don't know if you noticed, but the Simpit pit stops are getting a little bit longer each and every day, and that's because I have a lot of people helping out behind the scenes, and I really, really appreciate that help. So thank you, the man. But we've been talking about the Spectre vulnerability and the meltdown and all these things. Anyway, Inspector is a free lightweight meltdown and Spectre vulnerability performance checker. So if you're concerned about this, if you think perhaps this is something hurting you, you might want to check that out. That's at Game Debate, and again, the link to this article is at thesimpit.com. Beyond that, Samsung begins production of a 16 gigabyte DDR6 memory. So this is what is going to be inside the next video cards that we're talking about. And, you know, these video cards right now are being, well, did I bring that? I'm not sure if I brought the article that talked about the Bitcoin mining really killing us in the sim racing world by taking, yeah, I do need to run an ad blocker, Scott, good point. But by, they're gobbling up all the video cards that we want, and that's driving the prices through the roof. But anyway, 16 gigabyte memory chips are going to be in the next gen cards. So just a first look at that. Also from Game Debate. Intel. So here we are talking about Meltdown and Spectre. Vulnerabilities built into the chipset itself, not our software. These threats have always been software related for decades at this point, but now they're hardware, and that is really scary. It means that our hardware needs protection. Well, Intel, they probably knew about this, and that probably means that they are liable for some damages if they were negligent in even attempting to. But it looks like both AMD and Intel are now facing lawsuits for not doing the security things that they need to do. And we could get into a whole argument over where's the line drawn between their production and their obligation for protection versus us consumers buying a product and then being responsible for protecting it on our own. Guarantee you, if you buy their chip and never plug it into the internet, you're not going to have a problem. So, I'm not going to get too far because we still have a lot to talk about. Also, Game Debate, they managed to find and get, here are the actual system requirements for TT Isle of Man. So when we look at, they're saying 64-bit requirements. They're saying an A3 will get the job done. Minimal RAM requirements. 16 gigabyte video memory. So basically anything from a GeForce GTX 650 up. So it gives you an idea of the level of game and the power within it, just to, as we anticipate that game going. Yeah, I actually, truth be told, I use a different browser for doing this because I can save a bunch of favorites and have it open a bunch of pages and not interfere with my daily use of the internet. So I actually have a special browser just for doing it. Not special, I'm using I'm using Firefox for this. So I don't have that problem on my Chrome. Next up, NVIDIA. Here it is. So they're actually advising retailers to prioritize GPU sales to gamers over cryptocurrency miners. And I'm thinking to myself, now this, I mean, I want this to be true, but I'm also thinking, screw you, NVIDIA. If I'm a wholesaler, if I buy in bulk from NVIDIA and I'm selling video cards, I'm going to sell them to my end users, whoever has cash in hand. I mean, that is my job once I buy cards from them. My job isn't to police the world. It's just unfortunate that the video cards we need are the same video cards they seem to desire. So, again, this is I didn't ever foresee this coming out as an issue for us in sim racing, but it's really weird how hardware is really becoming an issue. Another hardware issue, DDR4 memory prices rising. Look at the spike in DDR4 prices. So, it's as the new gen, who was I having a conversation with just the other day? every time a new game came out is when we had to buy a new computer. That's the way it was like 10, 15 years ago. And now we've had computers that would run games through several generations. But look at the prices of DDR, RAM. And as those prices go up, it's going to make it harder and harder for us to upgrade when we need to, which really upsets me. I need a new computer. I always need a new computer. Excuse me. This story is a Turbo Duck. You'll probably find it all over the place, and I see William just talked about it. But another 10 Gran Turismo Sport DLC cars arrived. So they have this cool picture in dark. You see them, but you don't get to see them. But these are the 10 cars that are coming in that DLC pack that is, I believe, coming out next week, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, we're starting to get teasers, and I saw somebody had mentioned GT Sport, and all these cars are great, but how about more tracks? How about a DLC track pack? Wouldn't that be cool for all of our favorite console games across the board, really? So, cool thing for Gran Turismo fans out there. Next up, this is from Sim Racing Observer, and there's sort of two parts to this. But why is there such a push right now? Why is there this, exodus to harness and grab and gobble up sim racing into esport? Esport is not new. I met Johnny, whatever his name was, at a trade show 9 years ago. He was already a legend of gaming. Can't remember his name, sorry. And, this Street Fighter and shooters, this is a decade-old thing. But all of a sudden, 2018, bam, they gotta have sim racing. So, anybody know Jake Sperry? I've never talked to Jake, but he has become one of my favorite opinions in sim racing. And I should try to get him on the show and talk sim racing. Need to write myself a note. Somebody email me a note saying, get Jake Sperry. And if anybody knows him, tell him I'm a huge fan. And if you know anything about him or his story, let us know. I'm real interested. But he's putting a lot of work in over at Sim Racing Observer, and it's very cool to see somebody doing that, and I like his thoughts. Part of his article actually was an opinion by Empty Box, Matt Orr of Empty Box, and sort of his thoughts, but I'm going to read his quote. Really, if you want success in esports, it needs to be a game that almost everybody can play and understand, while having a huge skill ceiling racing sort of is. Now, that might take a little interpretation, but basically, if it's going to be mainstream, it needs to be a mainstream game. And sims that we like and the criteria we hold them to is not mainstream. Far too difficult on so many levels. Not only the skill set, but just getting involved. So, when we see esport go, it'll be a fine line between where they pull from. Will it be that? And we've talked about this over the months of the show, but will they pull from the sim racing side, or will they pull from the gaming side? And at that level, it only matters for those who are going to compete, but that's also how we're going to be represented to the world in the biggest fashion. So, next story, Sim Racing System. We run there, we love them. They are opening up a national championships. So, top 3 countries are going to award invitations to a national series. So, if you're looking for some more Assetto Corsa racing, if you're looking to race at a cutthroat level, this is where you're going to find it. So, this is sort of becoming one of those upper tiers within the sim racing system. So, you can go there, and he should have that up on the schedule today, I believe. And we're going to be talking more about the sim racing system because I have to send in car and tracks today. So I'm going to be having a conversation with the pit crew on Discord as we sort out the car and track selections for next season. I will tell you guys, I've been trying so hard to switch it to Friday, Saturday at different times to accommodate more people, and that is not going to be able to happen. So we might be one more season or 6 more weeks off till I can figure out a good alternative. I could run a second series, but I only want to do that if I can be there, and right now I can't. I'm having a hard enough time making both races of the one series. So, if you're a Discord member, this is another topic of discussion I'd like to talk about behind the scenes as we plan and coordinate. So, That's pretty much the end of the news. Let me wrap up real quick. I know we've gone long. Here's an image of the Simpit.com. Actually, this is a live image of the Simpit.com. And I'm showing this for a few reasons. I'm putting more and more effort into the site. One big deal. So here's the image to today's show. This is the show we are currently doing. And if I click on that, it will take me to the article and the write-up, where, again, I have the links to all of the topics that we talked about today. So if you want more information, just go to the Simpit, click on the image for the show that you're talking about, and you will get that. And then later, as soon as it posts on YouTube, I will add the video. So if you're coming in later, want to see other pit stops, you're going to be able to find them there. Excuse me. Also, if you are part of the Sim Racing System series, right here is our banner. I haven't changed the image, and I apologize for that, but it's right below the Rick Motec banner. And this is where you're going to find all the lap stats for practice, because Dennis, the big one, he has set up a 24/7, 365-day server, letting people practice in advance for our races on Thursday and Friday nights. So another thank you to him for doing that, but you can find that information through this banner. Beyond that, I want to have a little thank you and congratulations again. So our patron goal was $500. And when we got to $500, I was going to start doing a broadcast race for the patron group only. Well, we've hit our mark. So number one, we now have 71 patrons, and I want to thank you guys. I had no idea that there would be this much support for the show and the patron program, and I think we're all having a really good time doing it as well. So I really like the way that's all playing out. But we have hit our goal. So we are going to be talking on Discord about how to do these events, and that is now in the planning and the coordination. So thank you very much for that, you guys, and I'm going to broadcast the race, I'm going to announce the race, I'm going to be talking about you guys out on the track. That is the whole point of that event. So thank you very much, and I hope that we can have a lot of fun with the races coming up, very, very soon. So that is going to do it for today's show. Again, if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, let people know about this video, go to our Facebook page, and like us there as well. And please be sure to check out the Simpit.com to find out the links to all the stories that we talk about every day on the Pit Stop. That's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for being part of the pit crew. Thank you so much for making talking about the news each and every day so much fun. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.